Cross, A.B. Stoddard, thank you all so much. When we come back, Democrats flip one of the reddest seats in the country when Mark Sanford lost Congressman Joe Cunningham. He pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the midterms when he defeated Trump-backed Republican Katie Arrington to flip Congressman Mark Sanford's seat. Congressman-elect, it's great to have you on the show, and I am surprised, of course, I'm sure as many people are, to call you that. But thank you for being here. My main question for you to start this off is, and I realize you may say, oh, well, you know, I'm good looking or just that wonderful, but how did you pull this off in this district?
Well, I mean, we weren't surprised. We had a strong message. I mean, this is a district that, you know, went for Trump by 13 points in 2016. It's a district that Mark Sanford won by 22 points in 2016. It's a district that has obviously been gerrymandered, but through that gerrymandering, we had a strong message that cut to the core of it, and that was, you know, defeating this political tribalism that's ripping us apart at our moral fabric across this country. And that's what we spoke to throughout this district, and it's what resonated here. And that's why we're able to get support from Republican mayors like Tim Goodwin or Jimmy Carroll or Republican council members like Jim Owens. A lot of folks, you know, heard our message and it resonated with them, and we're able to break across party lines and win this seat.
Let me ask you, I'm glad you brought up political tribalism, because what Katie Arrington had to say to explain her loss I thought was pretty interesting and speaks to that topic. I'm going to show it to you and then we'll talk about it.
The 1st Congressional District last night lost the conservative agenda. We lost because Mark Sanford could not understand that this was about the conservative movement and not him. Mark Sanford, to all of your donors, I asked them this morning to request their donation back if they're truly conservatives to your wonderful chest that you've kept so proud and for so long.
So she's essentially blaming Mark Sanford for her loss to you. That does, in fact, seem to kind of speak of this political tribalism that you point to. Do you think part of why she lost was because she was more that way than Sanford was?
Yeah, I'll let her speak to why she lost. I can speak to why we won. And the reason why we won is because we started focusing on local issues and issues that impact the people at their very kitchen table. You know, offshore drilling was a huge issue down here in the low country. Our district covers most of the coastline here in South Carolina, and people don't want offshore drilling. And we honed in on that like a laser. You know, we focused on, you know, protecting Social Security, protecting Medicare. You know, we went around the district and talked to folks about their concerns, and that's what we addressed. We didn't listen to the D.C. message or the rhetoric coming out of Washington. We focused on local politics, and we focused on local issues, and we focused on a bipartisanship effort to bring people together. You know, we built the campaign on unity and not a division, and that's what carried us across the finish line.
You know, it's interesting. I was down there interviewing Katie Arrington earlier in the election cycle. We talked to her about offshore drilling. Let me show you what she had to say. You had said that you supported drilling offshore. That's a Trump administration proposal. Mm-hmm. You said more recently that you actually oppose it. Where do you stand?
So Joe Cunningham, the gentleman I'm running against, when I was in the hospital, went and saw the mayors and kind of twisted the truth. I'm not for offshore drilling in South Carolina. Never have been. There wasn't oil off the coast of South Carolina 150 years ago, and there's not oil now. All the studies that I've read, there's maybe 6 days if they tapped in 14 million barrels total. So nobody's going to drill off the coast of South Carolina, but I'm not for it.
And if the Trump administration tried to, would you tell them it's not a good idea?
Absolutely. I would come in and say, no, not here.
So that sort of speaks to one. I mean, this was an issue where she seemed to say one thing in the primary and then change her view in that interview. But as you point out, you did focus more on this very local issue and were in line with where your voters were, as you explain it. What can other candidates learn from how you ran this race that you think would apply elsewhere?
Yeah, I think just speak to the local issues, and we got to get past this partisanship, and we got to start listening to one another. Democrats need to start listening to Republicans. Republicans need to start listening to Democrats, and we need to start working together. And we need to realize just because we don't agree on everything doesn't mean we can't come together and work on anything. And I think what you're seeing across the country are new leaders stepping up to say, listen, we have to come together and focus on the issues and actually get back to what government was intended to do, to make people's lives better.
So one of the first things that you are going to have to do when you come to Washington is vote for Speaker of the House. If Nancy Pelosi is running to be Speaker, and she said she is, do you plan to vote in favor of her to be Speaker?
I will not, and I've said that from day one, our very first day out of the gates in this campaign. And it's nothing against Nancy Pelosi personally. It's a matter of having new leadership and new ideas, and that's what we've ran our campaign on. And that's what we're going to carry with us to Washington. And I think that sentiment is being echoed all across this country right now of having new leadership. And I think both parties need new leadership. I don't think it's just the Democratic Party. I think the Republican side needs it as well. And, that's what we've been running on, and that's what I plan on carrying up to D.C. with me.
Mm-hmm. Congressman-elect Joe Cunningham, thank you so much for your time tonight, sir, and we'll see you in D.C.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we look west.